They say the lake never gives back what it takes. Ask anyone in Pine Grove, Louisiana, and they'll whisper the same thing. Don't go near Echo Lake after sunset. It's not just the water that's deep, it's the silence. That's where little Maddie Lynn vanished without a sound, leaving only her pink ribbon floating like a ghost signature. She was the fifth girl to disappear. No screams. No footprints. Just still water, and the breeze that sounded almost like someone brushing hair. 17 years later, Janelle Carter, 27, left Atlanta with nothing but a broken heart and an overstuffed duffel bag. She was tired of scraping through life. Her boss at the salon had called her replaceable. Her boyfriend had ghosted her after 4 years. Her so-called best friend borrowed her last paycheck and never came back. So Janelle pointed her old Honda south and didn't stop until the trees grew taller than the buildings. She landed in Pine Grove, a town with one traffic light and a diner that still served root beer in glass mugs. It was quiet. Too quiet. But it was cheap, and for the first time in years, Janelle had space to breathe. That's when she met Carrie, a warm but wary waitress at Lou's Diner. Carrie told her about an old shack by Echo Lake. Used to be a beauty shop back in the 90s. But the last renter just vanished. Janelle rolled her eyes. So, it's abandoned? Yeah, Carrie said, then dropped her voice. But people say Echo Lake's cursed. Strange things happen out there. But to a girl who had slept in her car and eaten ketchup packets for dinner, curses didn't scare Janelle. Rent was cheap. The view was pretty. And ghosts didn't charge security deposits. The next day, she visited the shack. It leaned a little, smelled like old wood and dust. But something about it felt waiting. She cleaned the place, painted the chipped walls, strung fairy lights around the cracked mirror, and christened it Janelle's Touch. She was finally ready to begin again. Except nobody came. For 2 weeks, Janelle sat on the porch every day, smiling at passers-by. Some looked away. Some crossed the road. A few made the sign of the cross. Even Carrie stopped visiting. Janelle began to doubt herself. Was it the location? Was it her? The wig head stared back at her from inside the window, untouched. Then one night, the storm rolled in like a warning. Rain pounded the roof. Thunder cracked across the sky. And at 12:09 a.m., someone knocked on the glass. The sound was gentle. Not demanding, like fingertips tapping lightly. Janelle froze. Who knocks in a storm, in the dark, in the middle of nowhere? She tiptoed to the door and pulled it open. Standing there was a woman. Tall, pale, drenched, barefoot. Long black hair clung to her skin. She looked human. Almost. But her eyes were pale like polished shell. "My name is Delia Wren," she said. "And I've come to give you a second chance." Janelle swallowed hard. "Do I know you?" "Not yet. But I've known you for a long time. You have the hands of a healer." The lake chose well. Delia placed a black box at Janelle's feet. "Sell what's inside. Keep the money. But only one a day. That's the rule." "Wait, what is this?" Janelle asked, her voice shaking. But Delia had already walked away, straight into Echo Lake. She didn't sink. She didn't splash. She melted into the water. Janelle stood in the doorway, trembling, rain soaking through her hoodie. And when the morning sun broke through the storm clouds, the black box was still there. Inside the box were 3 wigs, each one more perfect than anything Janelle had ever laid eyes on. Lace fronts with shining ombre curls, bone-straight midnight blacks, and honey blonde waves that shimmered even in low light. Each wig had a name stitched inside. Maddie. Bria. Jasmine. Janelle didn't think, she acted. She styled one on a mannequin, placed it in the front window, and unlocked her door. By 10 a.m., the first customer appeared, a woman from 2 towns over who claimed she saw the salon in a dream. By noon, 3 more arrived. One cried in the chair and said she hadn't felt beautiful in 10 years. Another bought a wig and said her chronic back pain vanished as soon as she put it on. By sunset, Janelle had earned more than she did in an entire month back in Atlanta. The next morning, a new black box waited outside. And the next.
And the next.
But something was wrong. Janelle started seeing things. Girls in the mirror. Wet, silent, combing their hair with bone-colored combs. Once, she looked up while shampooing a client and saw a pair of pale eyes staring back from inside the sink drain. One night, she followed a trail of wet footprints across the floor, only to find the salon empty. The wigs weren't just beautiful. They were binding something. Terrified and desperate for answers, Janelle ripped up the warped floorboards of the shack, and there, hidden beneath a cracked tile, she found a leather-bound journal. It was written by her great-grandmother, Esther May Carter, a healer who had once lived in Pine Grove. Esther had been part of a secret sisterhood of the waters, women chosen to bind restless spirits of girls who had drowned in Echo Lake. The lake wasn't cursed by accident. It was alive. It held power, but it also demanded balance. The wigs weren't just accessories, they were vessels for the lost. But the sisterhood had failed. One of them, Delia Wren, had broken the code. She wore one of the sacred wigs for vanity, for fame, for greed. And so the lake claimed her. She was no longer human, just a messenger now. That night, Delia returned to Janelle's salon with a silver box. Inside was one single wig, darker than night, lighter than air. "This one is the binding crown," Delia whispered. "If you wear it, the girls will rest. But you will belong to the lake forever." Janelle backed away. "I never asked for this," she said. "I just wanted a new life." Delia nodded slowly. "And you got one. The price is deciding what to do with it." The next morning, Janelle locked the salon and sat alone by the lake. The silver box rested in her lap. She could feel the weight of every spirit inside it. Of Maddie. Of Bria. Of every girl who vanished and was forgotten. She could walk away now. Burn the wigs.
Run. Or she could stay.
Be what her bloodline always meant her to be. The final watcher. With trembling hands, she placed the binding crown on her head. Immediately, her eyes rolled back. Visions flooded her mind. Girls underwater, whispering lullabies. Wooden combs brushing endless strands of sorrow. And her own reflection. Eyes now round, glassy, silver blue, like the lake itself. And then silence. The next day, the salon was locked. Empty. No black box. No Janelle. No trace. People whispered she moved away. But Carrie knew better. Sometimes, when the wind blew just right, she could hear laughter near the water. And in the moonlight, the lake reflected not stars, but the flicker of a girl brushing hair in a salon that no longer exists. The end. Or maybe just the beginning.